Okay, welcome to this Tuesday, December 5th edition of the Board of Park Commissioners meeting. Please call the roll. Psst, Abby, that's you.
Mr. Cappers?
Here.
Mr. Fox?
Here.
Mrs. Westfall?
Here.
Hello, present.
Okay, we have our minutes of November 7th disseminated before us. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
Motion to accept.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
They stand accepted. Thank you. Reports. Mr. Drake, good evening to you.
Hello.
Okay, what do you got going?
Just one thing to add, if you recall earlier this year, we had one of our shelters in Community Park had a large tree limb landed on it and busted it. So we had just taken delivery on that earlier in November, and that shelter's been erected and that project's complete, so
Good.
it's done.
And when do the seasonal help leave?
Usually the last ones leave right before Thanksgiving, so
So they're
they're
gone.
yeah.
Okay. Any questions of our superintendent of parks?
Has the flight, the museum for flight over at the Senior Citizens, is that what they're working on right now? I saw some
No,
construction there.
Yeah, no, that's, they're running, boring some underground utility lines.
okay.
That's separate from, that hasn't started yet.
Yeah, that probably won't start until we
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah, I saw construction there this week.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was
Right.
it.
Any other questions? Jeremy, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Seiler, anything more to report on your end?
Just thought I'd like to thank Jeremy and his department for helping us last week with one of our setups for an event at the arena.
The McBride concert?
Yes.
Tell me, how did they make snow fall from the ceiling?
I have no idea. I
You
didn't
you-
see
you
it,
didn't do that. So they did it somehow.
I guess.
It was magic.
Was it?
Okay.
Santa.
Yeah. That's good. Any questions for our recreation director? Okay, Mr. Green, good evening. Do you have anything to add to your report?
I have nothing to the report.
Okay. We have some matters that we want to undertake. Let's deal with that in just a minute. Does anybody have any questions of Mr. Green before we get to these other matters? Okay, well, let's talk about those now then. We want to discuss how we're going to go ahead and fill your position. Okay? You've tendered your resignation's been accepted, with regret, I might add, once again. I did that last month. But we need to go ahead and move forward and to try to go ahead and facilitate that. Mr. Funderburg is going to be helping us out in that regard. You've already given us a draft of a position statement for your employment. And I've taken a look at it. I didn't have anything else to add. I know Mr. Funderburg has put his 2 cents worth in. Is that right, Mr. Funderburg?
2 cents.
2 cents, okay. And Susan and Levi, I don't know if you've had a chance to review it or not. Is this the first time you've seen this?
Yes, this is the first time right now.
All right. I don't know, this is probably something that the board should approve so that they can be sent out in advertising and things of that nature, as well as the next topic of discussion, which would be our salary and other benefits for this position. Now, I know what you're going to say, that that's already taken care of by ordinance, but one of the things that has been happening is that Ken keeps the pro shop, and he gets the money from the pro shop, and there's a thought then that we're going to go ahead and maintain the pro shop ourselves as a city, and then take in that income ourselves as a city. Now, Mr. Funderburg, we met last week, you and I did, and we talked about what the auditor wanted to do in that regard. Have you been able to contact the auditor, sir?
I have, and the auditor at this point is open to recommendations from the board. I think they feel they could make adjustments accordingly to track any revenue that would need to be tracked.
Okay.
They do have some systems in place, but it would be a changeover, so we'd have to take that into
All right.
consideration.
Thank you, sir. Well, we ought to do first things first. Let's take a look at the position description for the City of Troy golf professional. And if either one of you have any additional changes or comments, let's undertake those now. So I'll just give you a minute to look at it, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Ken, while they're looking at those, the Vandalia Castle Hills, is that pro shop inventory owned by the city?
Correct, both places now. Vandalia, this was their first year that they did it because their professional just retired last year.
Okay. And you
And
said,
then Echo's been building since my last year there.
gotcha. And you kept 100% of your lessons also, right? And how about club repair?
Correct.
You did that too?
Right. I do mostly re-gripping, changing grips on them. I don't do.
You did a lot.
You maybe do 10 to 12 sets a year equivalent.
So previously, this shop was yours alone? Okay.
Yeah. That's okay. Let me know when you're finished looking at the position description.
Yeah, I finished with that.
Okay, anybody have any problems with it?
I don't see any issues.
Okay, let's adopt the draft as the position description for the Director of Golf. I'll make a motion to adopt that as the position description for the Director of Golf. Is there a second?
A
Second.
Second by Susan. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's hereby adopted. Tom, it's going to be the description. Now, let's talk about the other issue then. Before us also, I've had Ken do a kind of a market analysis of the salaries and compensation for the golf directors for Pickwaco Hills and Vandalia Castle Hills. You have that in front of you. Our salary is by ordinance, and right now that's running in a range of 74,000 to 87,000. So we are on the high end of the salary. The issue now becomes, and that's not going to change, I mean, that's by ordinance, okay? We have a range that we go ahead and we can advertise that to any new incoming golf professionals. But what we have to tell the golf professional in our advertisement is, in addition to this being your position, which we just now have adopted, and the salary range of $74,000 to $87,000, what else do you get? These other entities have a portion of the golf shop sales or lessons and maintenance, club repair, things of that nature. So it was thought that maybe in the past what has happened is that our golf professional bought his own inventory for the pro shop, sold his own inventory and kept all those proceeds. We gave him the space and there wasn't any rental to it or anything like that. He just occupied the space, okay? Ken has now sold most of his inventory, so there is no carryover. There's a couple of golf carts that we might end up buying from him, rental carts, because those were his. The battery-operated carriages carts were ours,
Right.
but the walk-behind carts were his.
Talking about the pole carts.
The pole carts.
Pole carts,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So the matter for discussion right now is, what do we want to do on the golf shop inventory? Do we want to go ahead and bear the expense of purchasing the inventory, or have the new guy come in and bring the inventory himself?
What do we think that inventory would be?
You're probably looking at about $30,000 startup. I mean, time you get the balls, the gloves, clothing, clubs. It's going to run you pretty close to that. And that's probably, very close to it. I mean, you might be able to get away with 25 starting out. It just depends on how much you want to get, but the more you get, the better deals you get, the better dating you get, because they can give you up to 90 days dating on paying for those if you want to. And if you pay for them early, you get bigger discounts too. Almost all the companies are set up that way. So it really just depends on how much you want to go. I would suggest starting out, just with the bare basics, starting out. Pick one company and carry their clubs maybe, and just a few of them. A few putters, drivers, get some software in, or not software, but soft goods in for shirts and jackets with the logo on them, because that's always a good seller. Plus you need gloves and balls and tees, that kind of stuff, which adds up pretty quick. I mean, you get, 75, 80 dozen balls in at $20 to $40 a dozen. Some of them just $20 to $38 a dozen. It adds up pretty fast.
You mentioned a figure for your inventory of $23,000 to $30,000. Would that be?
25, you talk about
Yeah,
you
your
have full
inventory.
inventory?
Yeah, full inventory. So about that much money. Okay.
And again, you know, I don't know if they know much about it, but you're looking at a pretty small markup when you sell from a golf shop, because you're competing with not only all the retail outlets, you're also competing with online sales, which is very difficult to do, because a lot of times they're buying golf balls and stuff cheap as I buy them. So only the ones that really want to patronize you are going to buy from you, and others that are interested in, you know, the amount of money that they're paying out are going to think about the value, you know, the dollar value.
In your experience, if somebody were coming in as a golf pro for this position, would they have the monetary wherewithal to go ahead and purchase inventory of that amount?
You know, years ago, almost everybody did, but now, so many of the shops are now owned by the club or the city, depending whether it's private or public. There's been a downtrend now of golf professionals owning the shop. It's just, I think the owners of the golf courses and the municipalities want to just own all the concessions now, just keep it all together, you know, with driving range, carts, shops, and of course, green fees and membership fees.
Should we be overly concerned about theft? Not,
Well, I mean, you
maintaining-
gotta have insurance. I mean, we've been very fortunate out there. The shop's only been broken in, not the shop, but the golf course only been broken into once. And that's when they broke into the snack bar and took some money out of the register. We had starting money in there, and they took some food, beer, and stuff like that. But it was in and out very quickly. They broke a window. But we have an alarm system, so you're pretty safe with it, but you still would have to have insurance on it.
have you experienced anything like that in the pro shop?
The only thing we do have some in the pro shop is theft when you're not looking.
Shoplifting?
Yeah. Especially when you have balls and stuff out on the counter. I mean, it's just a fact that you're gonna have a certain percentage that's gonna be taken. I would say it's probably less than $500 a year, but, you know, it's money that
That's out of your
takes out of
pocket.
your pocket, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Is it necessary to have a fully stocked pro
Well,
shop? I mean,
not-
could
not
you
necessarily.
just do the minimals?
right, and that's what I
things
suggest. I mean, when I say minimal with clothes, I'm talking about maybe 24 to 36 shirts,
Right.
which is a pretty minimum, because a lot of people are getting 72 to 108, you know, shirts in. Same way with balls, you gotta have a certain amount to cover this, to have in stock for people, because most people buy right over the counter as soon as they see something they want it. Gloves, same way, tees, the same way. Clubs, you gotta be very careful with, because that's really where you tie your money up in. So I've always carried one demo set, a full set of clubs, and have one set of irons in stock for somebody wanting to buy them. Because most of the time, they have to be fitted. And you have to order another set in anyhow. And now the turnaround time on ordering is anywhere from 7 to 14 days. So you can get a full set of irons
Pretty
and
quickly.
woods in very quickly. And sometimes even faster than that. You know, the balls and stuff like that, you gotta have that, because, I mean, you're gonna sell a lot of that, and gloves,
Right.
same thing. You know, the clothing is where I would be very careful in the amount of clubs that you stock. You know, you gotta have some drivers in. I usually carried a dozen drivers, and I usually had a few fairway woods and a few hybrid clubs, which I don't know if you know about those, and usually had anywhere from 6 to 12 putters they could buy if they needed a putter.
And before you leave, you can help us and the new pro
Sure.
with the inventory.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And one thing that would have to be done, all the accounts would have to be opened up under the city of Troy's name,
Mhm.
get a purchase from them.
Mr. Charrington, may I bother you for a question, sir? If we were to go ahead and undertake this route of going forward and saying the city of Troy will now own the Golf Pro Shop and its contents, we'd have to have an expenditure of $20,000 to $30,000. Would that be within our budget? Would that be an extraordinary item? How would we handle that?
I'd like to say that it would be within your budget, but it's probably more like an extraordinary item. You know, I was thinking, sitting in the audience, that somehow we need to let the council know that. So I'm wondering if the most appropriate action wouldn't be for you to recommend the council, for various reasons, and we can write up the report, we consider bringing that in-house, and at some point during the year, we would have to do some kind of a reappropriation, because we did not include that or address that in the 2018 budget, which was passed last month.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Mr. Charrington while he's here? Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'd have a question. Do we need to decide this right now? Can we leave this as part of negotiating when we have an offer with someone to see what they prefer? The salary range, that's fixed. We can't really negotiate that, but different people may have the opportunity to purchase that. They may have the $30,000 up front, they may not. And it could help bring an attractive candidate in here if they really want to own that type of inventory.
I see what you're saying. I think we kind of need to advertise apples to apples, though, don't we? We don't know if that is a question, what are we offering these people? We know we're offering them the salary, but are we offering them all of the profits from the golf shop or not? I don't know.
May I speak?
Yes, Mr. Green?
There's no doubt that could be negotiated when you get it down, narrowed down to the ones you're going to interview, if you wanted to.
Okay.
You know, that could be part of your negotiations with compensation. You know, you got the salary, but, you know, if you wanted anything extra, this is what you would need to do or not do, you know, and see how they feel about it.
Okay. Mr. Terrington, you can remain seated if you like, but would it be possible to make a recommendation to council to give us leave to offer such a plan upon further negotiations with candidates?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I think that might be a good idea, Levi, to go ahead and leave that in abeyance for now, and then go ahead and after we get our last maybe 3 candidates, find out whether or not they want to or not own Pro Shop inventory and go from there. If we don't have any real feeling behind it, you know, if we don't have any really drive to own it.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like anyone's
Okay.
really recommending that we absolutely bring this in-house.
Okay, all right. Mr. Funderburg, do you need any more information on then the advertising process?
I do not. We will proceed with the advertisement. That's separate from the position description, but
Right.
it's pretty quick to put together at this point.
And then the process would be, we'll begin the advertisement in the Miami Valley PGA and the Ohio PGA and then the surrounding states.
4 states involved.
4 states involved for our golf professional. We'll be getting those in, and then Ken and Mr. Funderburg will go ahead and weed out those that they don't think is qualified, and then maybe get us, the 5 top candidates perhaps, and then we'll interview those 5 top candidates. How's that sound?
Yeah, what's the time frame for that?
Well, we'd like to have them in place by probably February, so they can work with Ken. They may have to move to come here, and Ken's resignation is March 1st when we reopen.
Maybe I missed it in the description. Does it require them to live in the city of Troy?
No.
No, not any longer.
Just within an adjacent county
Okay.
of Miami County.
And I noticed on Piqua and Vandalia, there's comp time over 40 hours. Do we have that? Do we not?
We do
Since
not.
our salary's higher, we don't offer the comp time?
That's one big change, yeah, between them.
Now, I will say on those job descriptions you have, Piqua is strictly just for the golf operations, which makes it a little bit less because he doesn't have the responsibility of maintenance. And Vandalia is over everything like I am, except he doesn't have to handle budget review. That's
Gotcha.
handled by the director of
Gotcha.
parks.
Okay. All right. Well, if Mr. Chang, if you would approach council with that, giving us leave to go ahead and offer that when we interview the final candidates, I think that's a good idea. And then since we already have a salary ordinance, we don't have to take any other action on this, having already adopted the position description. Okay? Anything else on this matter? Okay. I understand we have a guest that wants to make a presentation, Mr. Botwell.
Yes, we do. Mr. Boutwell is from Golf Graphics, and he's here to speak about the upgrading and replacement of our tee signs out the golf course, on all the tees. Which is
Okay, Mr. Botwell, come forward, please, if you would.
And he's going to give you a presentation of how we can pay for it without coming out of budget.
Okay. And is this something that's needed on our golf course?
Yes.
And what's the cost if we had to pay for it?
500 a sign, is that correct?
Well,
Approximately.
yeah, our cost is over $500 for what I'm going to be presenting.
Total?
So,
$500?
18
Yeah.
signs, times 18,
Times 18.
$9,000.
yeah, right. Yeah. Not to take a lot of time, but Ken mentioned that Mr. Al Cappers would be handling I said, Alan
I've seen that
Cappers?
guy for a long time.
And I said, the Al Cappers, because I went to Highland University, same time you did.
A fellow polar bear, yes.
Fellow Pearl Bear, and from Bluffton, Steve Simon, you played ball with.
He plays
Basketball.
golf a lot. I'd like to have him
Yeah.
on our golf board if he was up here, but he's down in
He's
Florida.
down in Florida now. Okay. Just to show you what we're looking at, the way our program works, we've been in business since 1988, so next year will be our 30th year, so we've been doing this a long time. But what we do is we provide tee signs to golf clubs at no cost. We take care of the maintenance, we take care of the insurance, and in the event that anything gets stolen or broken or vandalized or needs upgraded, we take care of that. What I'm going to show you is similar to what you already have out there, because we made the signs that are out there now. How many years ago has that been?
That was before I came, 2014, or 2004.
Yeah. But these are made out of Corian countertop material, same thing that's out there now. What we do is we provide sponsorships on there, and we work real close with the golf clubs to do that. In fact, we just delivered some brand new ones to Marion Country Club over in Marion, which is a private club, but they were kind of fighting over these. But the nice thing is, it gets kind of the people in the community involved as far as if they're a member, they have a business, they say, hey, I'd like to support that. I'm a member of the golf course. We're upgrading the golf course, what I hear. And so it builds some rapport within the community to help support the community and the golf club. So this is a sample. This is one color. I think this is pretty similar to what you have. Right now, we've got basically three different colors. This is just another one. I can only carry two, so I don't go into it. But this is kind of a tan look. Same type thing. We do all the graphics. In the event that you would add a new tee, let's say, on an annual basis, we'll upgrade that and make a brand new sign. We want everything to be current and first class. We pick these signs up every other winter, take them to our shop, totally go over everything, so they're always in first class condition. Right now we've got 79 golf courses that use our program, and some of them we've had for 20-some years, and we've gone through maybe 3 or 4 different upgrades of signs over those years. As something gets better, we're going to supply that to you. So it's an ongoing thing. Like I said, these cost us to make between $500 and $600 our cost, so it takes us 2 or 3 years just to break even. So we're investing in the clubs that we deal with. And so let me give you real quick here. These are just some of the other courses that we work with. In the event you'd like to check with them to see, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ken, our signs out there now are not in good shape? Is it-
Well, the problem, they need updated because we don't have the new tees on there now, because we put the new family tees out, and we've taken out all the old fairway bumpers that we used to have. So those are still showing up on the sign, but they're not there.
Gotcha.
And then we took some bumpers out too that we need to show it on the greens.
Gotcha.
That's something that we constantly do with all these golf courses that we service. If they're putting in new tees, a lot of them are going to maybe 5 tees now, or they're taking out bunkers, putting bunkers in. So we change that on an annual basis to keep everything current, so everything ties in with the scorecard.
And some of them are deteriorating, the picture is, because it's been that long.
Okay.
Yeah, this is paint, the numbers, but this is vinyl here, and over time it will, maybe get scratched or whatever, because they take these in and out. We have covers that we provide for them for winter storage, so they don't get dirty and protect them, whatever.
That's inside, right, at your facility? You're not putting a cover on it out at the course? You're taking it to your facility, covering it up
Well, no,
indoors?
you guys will have covers. You can put it on the sign, and the whole sign and everything comes out of the sleeve that we have in the ground, and you can store them at your maintenance building in the winter, Then we come to your maintenance building, pick them up, and take them, back to our shop, go over them, bring them back so they're ready to put in. We've got 80 courses that we do that for, so we're busy doing that all winter, for half of those. But,
Tell me about the advertisement at the bottom.
okay. This is a plate, 7 by 15 plate. What we do, as far as who we put on there, we get with like the Golf Pro, whatever, we get with their, a member list that have businesses, because we want to give them the first opportunity to take advantage of getting the networking advantage out there on the golf course. We do everything with digital printing now, so we can do photos, like you saw in there. We do this on an annual basis, renew this on an annual basis.
And then
So-
you just charge them? So
Right.
you're marketing the advertisement, putting the signs up, and for that, we don't pay anything? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
We have a contract, a 3-year contract with the golf club that we renew every year for another 3 years. And we do that because we have, the advertiser can purchase either a 1-year or a 3-year time space on there. So they can change this on an annual basis also and
Okay.
keep it current. So that way everything's always fresh. We do it on an annual basis. So it's a win-win for everybody. It gives the community, people an opportunity to get the exposure, help support the golf club, and doesn't cost the golf course anything.
Okay.
So,
Tim, can you give us a copy of this sample contract?
sure.
Yeah, just let us take a look at that.
Yep,
We're not going to take any action on it today, obviously.
sure.
But one of the things that the park board's always been, we try to be good stewards of the property owned by the city for our taxpayers.
Sure.
And that includes not having a lot of commercial advertising on park property.
I understand.
We also understand that taxpayers don't want to pay taxes. So sometimes it might benefit us to go ahead and get something for free in exchange for signage of a tasteful nature.
Sure.
So I'd like to take a look at the contracts, the specs and things like that, and then maybe we can come back with a new Golf Pro and discuss it further.
Sure. Yeah, we have several municipal golf courses we service in Ohio. So we're familiar with that operation
Sure.
too, but in the end, it's saving the golf course money, and that's what they're all interested in, 'cause, like I say, if this gets broken or banned or stolen, it's just calling us and we'll make a brand new one.
Okay.
Which,
Susan, Levi, do either one of you have any questions for Mr. Butwell?
No.
Thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it. Safe travels. I know you have to leave. Is there anything else to come before the commission? Mr. Tennington, do you have anything more for us? Mayor, do you have anything? Mr. Funderburg? Anyone else? Julie, do you have anything you want to comment? Okay. I'm going to move to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing compensation of public employees. Is there a second?
Second that.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are now in executive session. We'll excuse you.
Thank you.